This one's on me, fam. I got too greedy. I just got too greedy. But can you blame me? I mean, the Kraken have been playing good hockey.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what do you say, Seattle hockey fans? Welcome to another episode of Locked On Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we bring you your favorite team, the Seattle Kraken, every single day. I'm your host, Erica L. Ayala. I am a contributor to CBS Sports Network as a writer and HQ analyst. Actually, just did a hit on the NHL playoffs earlier today. I also have called hockey games for women's hockey, the NHL, and Hockey East, which is going to come in handy for today's episode. Oh, woof. That's just the bullet. And I don't know what else I have to say about that. 7-1 loss. The Seattle Kraken fall to Utah. You know what? I wanted this game. I wanted 3 wins, but I also particularly wanted this game. The Utah Hockey Club, or the Hockey Club, snaps the Seattle Kraken 3-game winning streak, and it wasn't pretty. If you listened to yesterday's episode, I recorded that episode before we knew that Philip Grubauer had come down with the illness that is running through the locker room. So he was not with the team. Victor Ostman called up from not Coachella Valley, but from the Kansas City Mavericks. And we're going to do a deep dive into Victor Ostman today. Joey Daccord made back-to-back starts, and it didn't go well. 7-1 is your score in this game. And I mean, it just soup to nuts, A to B, start to finish. This was not a great game. A 7.59 save percentage for Joey Daccord. 7.59. 39 minutes and 37 seconds of play. Victor Ostman got the last 20. His save percentage was perfection, 100%. And we'll talk about that. We did hear Dan Bylsma talk before the game. It was after I had recorded, but before the game, that he does see back-to-backs as an opportunity to hunker down, to really push back, to get into good habits. He, of course, knows that the Seattle Kraken are defeated, as in the opposite of undefeated. We are not undefeated. We are absolutely defeated and obliterated in the second game of a back-to-back. And I'm a little bit mad at myself that I got so excited about how the Kraken were like pulling things together and playing well that I completely forgot. I'm not even kidding you. The stat and the fact, you everydayers and OGers know that I know that the Kraken don't play well on a back-to-back. But I was so wrapped up in how this team was recommitting to the process, because I am anti-tank in this house. And I was so focused on bucking against that narrative that I completely forgot to prepare y'all, but particularly myself, for the fact that the Kraken are terrible in the second game of a back-to-back. So that's why I said this one's on me. I said I wanted 3 games. I wanted 3 wins in the last 6-7 games. It was right around there where I made this declaration, and I got those. I did want the win against Utah, though. I wanted us to sweep this series. Would not come to pass. In fact, we got our butts handed to us. The Seattle Kraken were outshot 41-19. 41-19. Utah had 15 shots on goal in the first frame to the Kraken's 4. 1, 2, 3. actually don't know the word for four in French. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. Ich ni son chi. There you go. Ah, boys. That's brutal. That's brutal. And it didn't get any better. The only shots recorded in double digits is the cumulative. The total. 4 shots on goal in the first frame, 7 shots on goal in the second frame, and 8 shots on goal in the third frame. I guess what we can say, if you are a Pollyanna and you want to lean into that lifestyle, at least they increased the amount of shots on goal every 20 minutes. At least they did that. And at least Jared McCann saved us from a 7-0 shutout. 7 different goal scorers for the hockey club, including former Seattle Kraken Kyler Yamamoto. Jared McCann did get the score on the power play, so that brings him to 21 goals. This was brutal. But we did hear from Jared McCann after the game. Here's what he had to say about the thumping.
Things kind of snowballed from the early penalties and power play goals.
Yeah, you can't give a team like that many chances in the power play. They're going to make you pay. Obviously, we didn't do the job tonight. It was a tough back-to-back. Obviously, changing time zones and getting in at 3 o'clock in the morning. But we just didn't have it tonight, and we left our goalies dry.
Speaking of goalies, we had a pretty good performance out of Ostman in the third period.
Yeah, it was good to see he was confident in there. He was making big saves for us. Obviously, some plays where we should have maybe got the puck out, and he was bailing us out. So it's good to see that.
Not much consolation, but you guys did connect on a power play goal early third.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, felt like we had some pretty good chances throughout the game. Obviously in the power play, and just couldn't cash one in. But Andre made a hell of a play there on the backside, finding me through the seam, and we were able to get one.
I've asked this before, and it's the last one, but you just rinse this game away? Do you talk about it? How do you sort of get ready for Vegas?
I think you got to talk about it a little bit. You got to take some aggressiveness from this last game. You should play pissed off. Next game, I feel like we need to show a little bit more emotion, and especially on the bench, like we're just so quiet when things don't go our way, and it's unacceptable.
That last piece was really interesting for me because it is something that I've noticed. I've said this before. It's been a while since I've said this, but if you're an everydayer or an OGer, I talk about how this is like a polite, this is a franchise, like if they were personified, that they're like a significant other that you feel comfortable taking home to your family, to meet your family, because they're going to act right. They're going to be polite. They have a little bit of grit and sandpaper here and there, but ultimately they're just a very nice, polite team. There was not very much emotion. Ty Cartier, there was some jawing going on that was identified by the TV broadcast. I watched the TV broadcast this time, and Eddie Olczyk noticed that, and it did come to pass in the third period. Ty Cartier kind of got his butt whooped. He got his butt whooped. Let's just be real. So that wasn't really anything to celebrate for Seattle Kraken fans. But there definitely was some, it seemed passive. It seemed polite, I guess. It seemed like an acceptance of the fate as opposed to really fighting and grinding it out. I know the shot count is just, yes, we know it's a back-to-back, but we've all known the schedule for a while. You gotta find a way to put something more together. I will add a little asterisk. We have had Riker Evans out of the lineup because of illness. He's now back in the lineup. Philip Grubauer was set to start this game. I can only imagine. I talked about it on yesterday's episode. I was going to be like previously on Locked on Kraken, but I decided not to do that because I have another video edit for you that I think is better. But I talked about it. If we don't see Philip Grubauer, if we see Joey Decord, that's something that we probably want to talk about. I was thinking more injury, but I didn't account for illness that had been running through the locker room. Eddie Olczyk also noted that Jessica Campbell, who was on the bench in the first period, was not on the bench in the second period. I haven't seen or heard any updates on that, so I don't know if that's sickness related. I hope everything is okay with Jessica Campbell and, of course, her extended family and circle. But it's just a bad time to come down with a flu bug. That being said, does it really matter? We've kind of been talking about it. So I don't know, Team Tankathon, you might be you might be enjoying the next handful of games because the Seattle Kraken, if they're fighting through injury, I mean, doing anything with the flu is tough. Playing a hockey game is super tough. I mean, everyone points to Michael Jordan, flu game, yada, yada, yada. Playing a competitive sport at any level, but I would think especially a sport where you have to put on gear, I wouldn't want to do that while sick. So I genuinely want to make sure that everyone in the Kraken organization is feeling okay. I mean, these are hockey games at the end of the day. Yes, it's your job, but they're just hockey games. I'm going to do a quick pass through the instant analysis. You can imagine it's not great. I already told you the shots on goal, shot quality 6.6. 6.6 for the Utah Hockey Club, 1.7 for your Seattle Kraken. Shot attempts 49 to 34. Vince Dunn had the most for the Seattle Kraken. Puck battle win actually in favor of the Kraken, 57% to 43%. It certainly didn't look like that, but that's what it was. Okay. Special teams, my goodness. The Seattle Kraken were 1 of 4. You just heard from the power play goal scorer in Jared McCann. 1 of 4 for your Seattle Kraken. Just 9 shot attempts, though, in those 4 power plays. 3 of 6 for the Utah Hockey Club. The Hockey Club. 17 shot attempts. 11 shots on goal. Shot quality was 2.5 comparative to 0.8 for the Seattle Kraken. Oof. 34 of 41 saves overall for the Seattle Kraken. A minus 0.4 goals compared to expected. A 0.7 in the positive for Utah. Quality start for Utah, not a quality start for the Seattle Kraken. You might have heard Eddie Olczyk on the broadcast just almost begging the Seattle Kraken to shoot high and raise the puck. They got some shots high. Speaking of shooting high, it did seem like Utah was picking the high glove side corner on Joey Decord, who, I mean, he just looked a little absent-minded, let's be real. Vejmelka got the start for Utah. It's a quality start. He did make some fantastic saves. So that's that game. It happened. You heard from Jared McCann. You kind of have to learn from it. I hope they don't dwell on it, though, because they do have the Vegas Golden Knights coming up. We'll talk about that game on the next episode. But coming up on Locked on Kraken, I needed to kind of get that out, right? Just purge whatever that was that we saw. But coming up, I want us to talk about Victor Ostman. We'll hear from him. And then I'm also going to take you to the film room because, as it so happens, your host of Locked on Kraken, aka that's me, aka Erica L. Ayala, has actually called a Victor Ostman game, and I have that video. So I cannot show you video from his NHL debut, but I can break down, and I have some clips for you to see why I like Victor Ostman, who is in our prospect pool. So we'll talk about that coming up on today's episode of Locked On Kraken. Today's episode of Locked On Kraken brought to you by our sponsor, Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller for longer. Now, some people really like kind of the Zen vibe of being able to crack open the shell and enjoy a wonderful protein-packed pistachio. And that's their vibe. And they dig it. And I'm happy for you. For me, what I like about Wonderful Pistachio and any kind of snack is when it's grab and go, making it easy for me to not be hangry while also being healthy. And that's what I personally like about Wonderful Pistachio, whether you're running between meetings or dropping off children. Wonderful Pistachio is the snack that works as hard as you do. So get snacking and get cracking, Seattle hockey fans, with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Thanks as always for making Locked On Kraken a part of your daily destination. Erica L. Ayala here, and not a great outing by the Seattle Kraken, but Victor Ostman, pretty impressive. And I'm going to break down a lot of different things that I liked about his game, but let's get to know Victor Ostman a little bit better. Hails from Sweden, and there's a great story by Bob Condor up. Very, I'm just going to say it. It's kind of corny. It's kind of a corny headline, but I get it. I mean, we heard a few cornball efforts to make puns. I'm not a big pun fan, so I just have to admit that. But I think people are still workshopping the puns for Victor Ostman. This one is Man O Ostman, goalie prospect who started the season with ECHL Kansas City and presses with 12 saves in a final period Tuesday in Utah. Third Kraken keeper to make his NHL debut this year. There you go. Ostman. He is from Sweden. He played the last 20 minutes of the game, and he made 12 saves, including 5 high danger chances per natural stat trick. 4 of those difficult shots came early in the game. And, we can go over some of his numbers and things of that nature. I will also take you to the film room. He played for the University of Maine, the Swedish product. And I want to take you to the film room because, again, I got to call an Ostman game, I guess, a season and a half ago now, something like that, and was very impressed. You may remember, if you're an everydayer or an OGer, I was pretty high on Ostman when I saw him as part of the prospects, and it's because of what I'm going to show you in the film room in the third segment. But first, before we do that, let's hear from Victor himself after making his NHL debut.
I know not the circumstances of when you want to get in a game, but how'd you feel out there?
No, it was a lot of fun. Obviously, like you said, not under the best circumstances, but I thought the guys played really good in the third for me, and it was a lot of fun. Obviously, first NHL action, so it was a lot of fun.
I saw you talking to one of the officials at one point. Were you just talking about just the whole night, or was there something specific you guys were talking about?
He just came up to me and congratulated me on first NHL game, and he was like, if you need anything, just let me know. So he was just trying to welcome me, and I appreciate that. And everyone did a good job of making me feel comfortable out there.
Had a lot of big stops really early too. Does that somewhere get you in the rhythm?
Yeah, for sure. That's nice to get a couple early, so you get the nerves out of the way, and after that you can kind of just play. And it's never easy, but it's always nice to get a couple ones in the beginning.
I know this was a weird circumstance, but did your family know you were dressed tonight, or does anybody back home sort of know what's going on?
Yeah, they knew I was going to be dressed. They probably didn't expect me to play, so we'll see when they wake up in the morning. They'll probably get a little surprised, but yeah.
Yeah. So last thing, just when you go out and see, you're out there, is there any moment where you're like, wow, I can't believe I'm here? Or were you really like, kind of, I got to lock in and stop some pucks?
No, I definitely had to pinch my arm, like skating around in between whistles and just like looking around, seeing the crowd. It's a pretty surreal feeling, and it was definitely cool. And you kind of had to like be like, oh wow, like I'm actually doing this right now. So yeah, it was a cool moment for sure.
Thank you for talking.
Well, there's Victor Ostman. Congratulations, stick taps again. He was a perfect in net for the Seattle Kraken in a night that just wasn't great. I mean, this game got out of hand in really the first period. So I'm not exactly sure what the thinking was behind keeping keeping Joey Decord in net and having Ostman just start the third frame, especially if Philip Grubauer is still ill. It's not a back-to-back, but we have today, Wednesday, before the Seattle Kraken take on the Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, personally, I would have been okay to see Ostman make his debut a little bit earlier. That didn't come to pass. I think also it's a little tough on Joey Decord to have to eat 7 goals and have his save percentage plummet to a 7.59. That's brutal. I feel for Joey Dax. He definitely continues to put a lot on his shoulders. But again, Victor Ostman, 12 shots seen, 12 shots saved. He comes from the University of Maine in Hockey East, where I got to first see him. He also has made appearances, of course, in the ECHL for the Kansas City Mavericks. He's appeared in 32 games for your Kansas City Mavericks, a 903 save percentage, 2.52 goals against average, and his record 21-7-4. He's seen 4 games of action at the AHL level, 2.00 on the nose goals against average, a 927 save percentage, and he has, I didn't mention this, he has 2 shutouts in the ECHL, 1 shutout in the AHL. I mean, if you count just his frame, he did shut out the Utah Hockey Club in his 20 minutes, but his record in Coachella Valley is 2-1-1. I like his size. He is over 6 feet. Yeah, 6'4", 205. And this guy moves really well, but you don't have to take my word for it because we're going to take you to the film room. I was able to call a Victor Ostman game when he was with the University of Maine, and I want you to see what I saw, which is why I was so high on him when I saw his name on our prospects roster for training camp. I do like this guy. I think he has a future. He plays the kind of game that I like. And you know me, I like a gritty, grinded out game. I think he's really great in tight spaces. And that's exactly what Martin Jones did for the Seattle Kraken the last time the Kraken made the playoffs. So yes, I do have some comps there with Martin Jones, just as far as how he's able to be in tight spaces. You will also see a goal against in the film room clips that I have for you. And it's also worth, of course, seeing how he reacts to goals that go in. I think that his positioning is what excites me most. He's very good in his positioning. Rebound control is pretty good, but what we'll see in the clips is that he also played, at least in the game that I watched, he played in front of a team in the University of Maine that did a really great job blocking shots in front. Now, putting aside the game against Utah and the hockey club, the Seattle Kraken have done much better blocking shots in front, and that's made Joey Dacord's life much better. We did hear from Dan Bildsma that he felt that the team kind of left Joey Dax out to dry. And I think there's some realness to that. I also think that Joey Dacord and a lot of the other players were fatigued. It is a back-to-back. It's understandable. And yet, again, we all knew that this was coming in the schedule. So where does that lie? Perhaps a little bit more on the coaching staff to control these games, especially knowing that the Kraken are already eliminated from the playoffs. I personally didn't like Joey Dax having to eat 7 goals. Is it fair to give a guy making his debut that as well? Maybe not, but also he didn't let up any goals. So if you're already losing by 4, 5, 6 goals, why not get Joey out of the game? Give Victor Ostman 20 plus minutes. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think we throw the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to this coaching staff. That doesn't mean, however, that they are without the ability to improve and that they are above any critiques. And that's definitely a critique for me. I just didn't understand why we didn't see Victor Ostman a little bit earlier. But coming up on today's episode of Locked on Kraken, I'm going to take you to the film room. This is video that I have been given access to because I called this game, so you will likely hear my voice as I also talk over it a little bit. But I just want to clarify that we don't have access to game footage, but I can show you this video that I was given access to by Hockey East. That's coming up on today's episode of Locked on Kraken.
Do you have trouble sleeping? If so, you're not alone. That used to be me, lacking rest, tossing and turning. I was late for meetings. I never felt like myself. That's until I found Bare Mattress. Bare Mattress and their sleep recovery technology helped me fall asleep faster as well as enjoy deeper sleeps. I felt like myself again, and you can too. Bare Mattress knows that every sleeper is different. That's why they have their sleep quiz on their website that finds you your perfect match. As a side sleeper, I matched with the Elite Hybrid mattress, and I've been telling everyone in my life they have to try Bare Mattress risk-free. You can sleep on your Bare Mattress up to 120 nights, and if you're not getting the best sleep of your life, you can get it refunded. They'll pick it up with absolutely no hassle. So go to baremattress.com and use my promo code LOCKEDONNHL at checkout to get 40% off site-wide. This offer is not available anywhere else. You have to use my promo code on the very last page of checkout to get this discount. That's baremattress.com. Use my promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 40% off site-wide. Baremattress.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL.
And welcome back to another episode of Locked on Kraken. We're going to do something new. I've never done this before because I've never had film footage to show you. But we talked about Victor Ostman. He was the highlight by far of last night's whomping that we received from the Utah Hockey Club. The team is going to get ready to go to Vegas. You heard from Jared McCann. They got in at 3 a.m. So, I mean, honestly, that's a tough schedule. Not exactly sure if there were delays or whatnot, but it just seems that, you know, the planning, I don't know if it was a planning issue or a circumstance. I really hope it wasn't a planning issue because, again, we all knew that this was going to be on the docket, but it seems like the Kraken, they definitely were dealt a difficult hand. So you flush this one, right? The Kraken are not vying for a playoff spot, so you know, it is what it is. Before we get into the film room, I just want to remind you to follow Locked on Kraken on TikTok. We are really going to lean into that social media platform and as well as YouTube for shorts or any way to communicate. You can also become a member of our subtext group, aka our Locked on Kraken Insiders. And we have some fun ways that we're going to innovate that as well. But without further ado, this is a game, Victor Ostman in net for the University of Maine against Boston College. And yours truly was play-by-play, working with Jim Connolly as my analyst. And I have some clips of Victor Ostman in action. Again, big frame, but it's his positioning that I think is really good. I think he has solid habits, and I think you'll see that on display in these clips. So let's go over them.
Passing again, and just a little poke right there by Ostman to nullify that chance. Now shorthanded, a chance and a goal!
So I want to pause there because in that first clip, what we saw from Victor Ostman, and we should see the replay on the other side of me talking through this, is that Victor Ostman had a nice poke check, and that nullified the opportunity from Boston College and led to a breakaway opportunity for his team going the other way.
Hembrandt, short-handed, makes it 2-0. Black Bears. When you're on a power play, 45 seconds remaining. Save there by Ostman. Makes it with the pillows.
Nice.
They're still on the power play. 15 left here. Shot goes in. Gobbled up by Ostman.
A couple of good looks here for Boston College. Gasso tries to wheel out, loses his legs from underneath him. And then this one, you see Gauthier, what he's doing, but then you have three Eagles. Everybody's looking in a different direction. I guess sometimes it's being on the same page.
Connolly, he's great.
And so Kuntar with a shot, and that's pushed aside by Ostman, and then cleared by Green. And then another shot in.
And Ostman did not have a stick there at the end. That first save he made, the collision
here
forced the stick out of his hand. Let's watch this one as BC comes across the line with some speed right here. Wondering, that might have been challenged, by the way, if it had gotten to the point that it was a goal, but Ostman's stick gets tangled up as he turns to make that first save on Kuntar. Then the puck comes back to Kuntar again. He goes a little bit high, had Gasso in front, but unable to beat Ostman. He has been fantastic tonight. 20 saves right now as we approach the final seconds here of the second period.
All gas, no breaks, 40 seconds left on the clock here in the second stanza. Ostman just doing Ostman-type things for Maine. Take another look at this chance from the Eagles as they are still looking to get on the board here and not crack the code of Ostman. Victor Ostman and Maine 2-0. It's now BC.
I think he moves well
below the net. Nesterenko. Wraparound chance! A shot in front, and Ostman makes the save 2 times! And trying to take the goalie's eyes away. Another save by Ostman. Let's take a look at what we just saw, Jim.
You're back. I mean, you mentioned this one. Starts with Nesterenko. You have Ambrosio right there.
You see
like
from
I
the
said, maybe
overhead,
he gets away with one this many turnovers. You usually end up with a ton of goals. But it's just turnover after turnover, back and forth.
Case in point, that's a shot in. Kuntar.
And then he comes out of the crease a little, takes away the angle.
Ostman makes the save.
Overhead.
It has been an eventful third period wraparound and a point-blank save. Ostman keeps his team up 2 goals.
And you'll see that as we continue on here.
Victor Ostman, what can we say about him, Jim?
Well, 28 saves tonight. At times he's seen the puck well. At times he's reacted extremely well. And
I love that
the last save that he had, one of the last saves he had, which was the Colby Ambrosio shot after a nice chance by Nesterenko on the wraparound. I mean, those are the types of saves. He plays big. You know, he has a large frame, 6'4", 205, but he plays big. And sometimes you can look at him. If you're a shooter and you're struggling, you come down and you look at a guy is that big, and you say, where am I going to put the puck? You know, now there's other times where, you know, you talk about you're on a heater and you look at a goaltender and say, all I can see is net. But when you're struggling to score goals like BC is, you look at a big goaltender like this who's playing positionally sound, not getting beat by shots off passes, and next thing you know, you don't feel like you have any room to put a puck. He knows what he's doing, but you look at, get a puck there, and you know, that's a really good block there on Kuntar as that puck gets redirected, and then you're looking for that second.
But so I love what Jim's talking about his size and his frame, but also in this replay in particular, and if you're not watching on YouTube, I apologize because you're not going to get the full breadth of this, But Victor Ostman, when he gets down into the butterfly, he also can stand with his torso pretty tall and not give up much space in the net because of his size, because of his height, but his positioning is really great. And I mentioned in the last segment that a lot of what we saw when he was at Maine and in this game is in particular is that his team was giving him blocks in front of net. But what's great about Ostman is that he can hold that position in the event that the block then ricochets and gives, in this case, Boston College another shot. And that actually happened a few times in this game. And I just love that. I think his positioning is extremely sound. He uses his size to really stand tall and erect in net, even when down in the butterfly position.
Shot. I actually think that when all is said and done, we'll see it best from this angle. I think, yeah, Ostman got the right pad on that. That's a heck of a save.
We're just over 4 minutes left. BC still down and down. They get on the board. Trevor Kuntar. What a nasty shot.
It was black in front.
To end Victor Ostman's shutout bid.
Oh, no shutout here. So we'll take a look.
We were just fed the stat that the BC Eagles, with just over 4 minutes the other night, Jim,
just got a little tripped up on
to get the comeback going,
shot,
to send it into OT. That's a filthy goal by Kuntar.
Fantastic finish by Kuntar, but you know, it really starts with Gauthier because he draws two Black Bears toward him, leaving that lane open.
Goes recollect. Isaac, had O'Neill there, but he can't find the puck. Great job by Maine. They pushed O'Neill out, giving Ostman a chance to cover up that puck.
I love that he
dived.
Yeah,
it looked like a pretty harmless play. We're going to go back to the first chance. And this, again, you win a puck battle in the corner. You get Ambrosio, gets a good shot out. This second one, it looks kind of harmless. You have Liam Isaac going down the right wing, just throws it toward the net. But once you get the bodies going, and right there you have Christian O'Neill. He's pressing the net. You have Colby Ambrosio. He's pressing that. You're now going to move. My number is right. Ooh.
Yeah.
Lost an edge.
Lost an edge. It happens.
Yeah, the BC player lost an edge, went full force into the goaltender. Dangerous play, but doesn't look like Ostman is any worse for the wear.
And that's all she wrote. What a performance by the Maine Black Bears, coming into Kelly Rink and getting a 3-1 win. Still winless are the Eagles. The Black Bears feeling good about what they could do tonight. For Jim Connolly, I'm Erica L. Ayala. Thank you for watching Hockey East on Nesson.
So here we go. I've to cover Victor Ostman, and I liked what I saw in that game against BC. We were at Boston College. It was a home game for BC, but I thought Ostman was really great. I mean, Maine was great in that game, and Ostman at times didn't have a lot of work to do, but when he did, I think you can see from those clips that, he definitely stood tall, and he is a tall goaltender. I love that he can dive into the crease. And I wanted to show you those clips because I think we did see some of that for those who were able to watch the game last night. We saw a little bit of that from Victor Ostman. He has great numbers in the ECHL. He's put up pretty good numbers, and we've talked about him before in our Firebirds Fridays. He has good numbers in the AHL. So I like that he's in our system. I know we have some questions that we need to answer about goaltending, but it was good to see Victor Ostman make his debut. Hopefully some of his family back home was able to watch, and I'm very eager to see what the future holds for Victor Ostman, but I like the fundamentals. Of course, there's always things to learn, but a really solid outing for Victor Ostman. All right, that's our episode. Tomorrow, we will talk a little bit more about this Vegas game, and then also tap in a little bit more with Kansas City as well as Coachella Valley, who we know will be playing once again in the postseason. But that's our show, folks. So you know what we do. A reminder to be kind to yourself. It's a reminder for me as well that will open you up to be kind to others. And we hold fast. We stay true, and loud and proud, we say always, Let's go Kraken. I'll catch you on the next episode. Peace out, everybody.